What's going on, everyone? So, Walker Kessler has been a target for the Lakers for years now. He is my favorite target, still is my favorite target. He's the guy that I would prefer the Lakers go to acquire. Lakers have on several occasions. The best chance for the Lakers to have acquired Walker Kessler was last offseason, and they ended up not getting the deal done. And then now the price just keeps kind of climbing. Well, what is the current price of Walker Kessler? That's the big question, right? And is it even worth going and trading for Walker Kessler if you're the Los Angeles Lakers? Obviously, the Lakers need a center. They also need several other needs. And I've talked about how you might just be better off going sign DeAndre Ayton, go and bring in a, Al Horford or something like that, right? Bring him in as a backup, and then go and use your assets to solve some of the other needs. Go get an Andrew Wiggins, or can you get a Herb Jones? Like things like that. Go solve your starting perimeter help and just better round out this roster, or maybe go make a depth trade, whatever, right? Like use the assets instead of acquiring a center to go get other things. And there are countless reports of the Lakers going and active in conversations, right? Like Dave McMenamin talked about how there is a potential even 3-team trade where the Lakers would land a clear-cut starting center. It's kind of might be one of the reasons why DeAndre Ayton to the Lakers is kind of getting held up. Also, Lakers have been after Nick Richards as well as Robert Williams. Right? My guess is probably for the backup role, as well as Yves Missi, who again, another young, gifted, talented player that gives you plenty of upside and potential. But according to Jovan Buha, right, the price for Walker Kessler is reportedly 2 first-round picks as well as a young prospect. Now, here's the thing. Right off the bat, the Los Angeles Lakers, they don't have 2 firsts. They have 1 first. And then they do have a young player in like a Dalton Connect that they could look to go move and trade. Walker Kessler will be 24 later this month. So, you kind of swap in similar age players, right? Give them some shooting. They have the center position, right? So give them kind of that movement shooter, a guy that can go get buckets, right? Lakers get and solve a bigger need. I know some people don't want to trade Walker Kessler, or trade Dalton Connect, but Walker Kessler, he's already arguably the best defensive center in all of basketball. Look at him compared to Victor Wembanyama. Look at him compared to Anthony Davis. He's better in multiple areas than those guys. He's a guy that, yes, he definitely needs to improve. He definitely needs to grow. There's things that you need to work on with him. But as far as the type of center you need, you can make an argument that he's the best one that the Lakers could potentially get via trade, right? Now, the question is how did Lakers get to 2 first? Well, you could look to maybe unload. Can you turn a Rui Hachimura into a first to one of these teams? Or what you could do is turn, the 2027 pick, right? You get a little creative here, kind of turn that into a pick swap and then free up, first and stuff, right? Lakers might have to get creative if they want to go land Walker Kessler. But a couple of things you got to keep in mind, right? 1, is that really the price for Walker Kessler? 2, is that really the price for Walker Kessler to the Lakers? Right? That might be the general price out on the open market, but is that the price for the Lakers? Now, it's not one of those things where Danny Ainge would never help the Lakers. Danny Ainge helped the Lakers 3 separate times. Although the last time he wasn't aware that he was helping the Lakers land Luka. He knew that he was helping the Lakers. He just didn't know that it was to land Luka Doncic, which hurt him because he is the 2027 pick, right? So the idea was that LeBron would retire by then, and then Anthony Davis would kind of be the solo guy, and could he be the guy that could lead a championship, lead a team to a championship? So you'd end up having potentially a really good draft pick, right? Well, now that they got Luka, it's there that goes. Even if LeBron retires, the Lakers are probably still going to be really good along with Luka Doncic, one of the best players in all of basketball. So, I don't know if Danny Ainge, does he kind of hold that spite? Look, Danny Ainge will trade with the Lakers again, right? Even with all that, the Luka Doncic stuff. He just, as long as he gets and feels like he won the trade or got what he was looking for, then he's more than happy to take on that trade, take on that deal. And look, the 2027 pick was always a bit of a gamble, right? Lakers, if LeBron retires and then another star comes immediately, that could change. If LeBron doesn't retire, right, then that could change things. Or, if they did eventually trade Anthony Davis again. So I don't think it's one of those things where it's Danny Ainge is looking at it as oh man, I was going to get because it's also protected, right? It's top 4 protected. So, it's not even if the Lakers bottom out and they get a top 4 pick, that he doesn't get the pick regardless, right? So I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it might kind of sway things where he might be like, okay, well, I want Connect first, and I want all your pick swaps, or I want, 2 pick swaps or something like that for later on down the road, right? It just kind of depends on where Danny Ainge is looking at. Look, I am as big on Walker Kessler as somebody can be. As big as Walker Kessler. Like, I really want Walker Kessler. However, I do think right now, currently, right, it is best for the Lakers, right? If it's me, I'm making the trade. Right? I am that high on Walker Kessler. But if I remove my Kessler bias, right? Because I'm a big Kessler guy, and I think he solves a lot of the Lakers' problems. Thing is that the Lakers still have a lot of needs, right? So it might be best for the Lakers to just stick to the script. Bring in DeAndre Ayton, right? Go and bring in an Al Horford, or if you can get a Nick Richards or something like that for, without giving up your assets and picks, then fine, go do that. Right? Like, now you have your center position locked up. Let's call it, let's just call it Al Horford and DeAndre Ayton. Well, now you have your center position, which would be a really good center core. Go bring in a Trey Jamison or Christian Koloko to be your third center, and I think you're in business, right? You have something like that. Now you go take your assets and then again, go get upgrades out on the perimeter. Go get upgrades out on the wing. Can you go get an Andrew Wiggins, right? Like, Lakers want to preserve cap space. That's fine, right? In 2027, that doesn't mean that they're not going to make moves. It doesn't mean that they're not going to make trades. They just want whatever moves they make to line up to the 2027 offseason, right? So if you're the Lakers, again, guys like Andrew Wiggins, makes sense. Look for guys with contracts that are on, that have 2 years left on their deal that you might be able to go and acquire and then bring those guys in, and now you're set. Like, even like a Herb Jones, right? I think he has the 3 years, but he's good enough to justify and young enough. And then, at worst, right, like, you at least would have Herb, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and DeAndre Ayton in a post-LeBron era. Can you just go solve that 4 spot? And maybe now you're in business, right? Maybe one of your young guys kind of steps up, right? No one thought Austin Reeves was going to have an emergence the way that he did. Maybe another old guy ends up having that type of emergence, right? One of these young guys that you have. Or maybe the Lakers take a flyer on one of these guys. Or, what is Jake LaRavia? How does he adjust to being on the Lakers? There was some real promise with him coming with Sacramento before he fractured his finger, right? So maybe he's a guy that kind of takes some strides on the Lakers, playing alongside Luka, getting shots and whatnot. So we'll see. We'll see how everything progresses. You never know, especially when you're talking about these young guys. But I do think that there is an argument to be made, a very good one, of just, again, stay the course, go land Ayton in another center, and then figure it out from there. Now, again, there is the Lakers are active in trade talks right now for a center that, they're really working on that, and that could be something that's holding up Ayton, right? Depends on what that center is, right? Now, if it's Kessler, then perfect, beautiful, right? Like, we might be in the green there, but if it's something like Yves Missi, right? He's a guy that I think you could still go get, depending on what the value. Like, if you have to give up, basically all of your assets to go get him, again, I don't know if that's the best action, right? But if you can get him reasonable, even like for a Dalton Connect, right? If you swap Connect and him, right, at least you still have a first, you have pick swaps, you kind of get creative with some things, right? Go bring in Yves Missi. You could still go bring in a DeAndre Ayton, have Missi, right? And then eventually make that transition, right? And Yves Missi is on a 2-year deal, club options both years after this year, right? So, if it doesn't work out or whatever, you kind of just let him go. It sucked to lose him for nothing. But you can also sign him to a contract, and he's not going to be making, $40 million a year or anything like that on his next contract. So that might be the best route for the Lakers, to where they kind of get it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get that clear best option available at your starter spot in a DeAndre Ayton, and then you get your future potential franchise center in an Yves Missi. That might be a middle ground. But again, just to kind of go over like Walker Kessler, right? He's a guy that's already a double-double, one of the best rim protectors in all of basketball. You talking about a real 7-footer that's got some size, got some strength, got some physicality, right? He's a guy that has shown the ability to even like stretch the floor and stuff. He's not a guy that I would want stretching the floor right now, but he's a guy that it could develop, right? You look at a Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez wasn't a floor floor spreading big, but eventually worked on that enough to where he became one of the best, right? So again, it's just about the work you put in. But like I said, a true 7-footer, with a 255 or 245 pounds. So again, got some weight behind him. He's not like 220 or anything like that. But he provides, like I said, this past season, 58 games played, 58 games started. Now you might be thinking like 58 games, like that's not great. Yeah, but you got to keep in mind, like Utah literally set their starters for like weeks at a time. Like it's not anything, like literally weeks at a time. So he probably would have been in the 60 range, maybe even like 70 games, but averaged 30 minutes per game, 7.2 field goal attempts, 66.3% from the field. He was 18%. He's a career 19% three-point shooter on 0.3 attempts, though. So he's not taking a lot of attempts. Even last year was his most attempts, and that was a 0.6. Again, but has shown the ability to do that, so you can kind of work on that over time. Two-point range, 70, almost 71%, 67.1% EFG. Free throw shooting is definitely something he needs to work on. He's not a great free throw shooter. He's a career 53.7%. Last year, he was 52% on 2.6 attempts. So definitely, again, he's not a perfect player. He's not a guy where it's like, man, this guy checks off he checks off most boxes. But definitely, again, he's young. Things that you're going to have to work on with him. But he averaged 12.2 rebounds, including 4.6 offensive rebounds. 4.6 offensive rebounds. That's insane. Just under 2 assists, a full steal, 2.5 blocks, and 11.1 points per game. If you can get Walker Kessler, I think you should get Walker Kessler. But if the Lakers end up going another route, because it is it is a hefty price tag, there we go, then I'm fine with it, right? As long as the Lakers solve their center position and then go get other help elsewhere. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.